journalism is all about hard work. So if you have it in you to make a name for yourself in this hyper-competitive industry, then let CNN News 18 be your platform.
Good morning, welcome bright and early to today's edition of The Breakfast Club. We're so excited to be here. Today we have a very, very riveting discussion plan. Keerthy, what are we taking a look at today?
First up, we're talking about something that's been trending for at least a week now. Well, we've heard of this in the past. There is an age disparity between the male lead actor in Indian cinema and the female actor he's often paired with. And there are so many reactions, Toya, that are coming in on this, not just from people who have expressed mixed opinions, but also from the film fraternity itself.
And this is actually a debate that's been happening for a few decades now. So we thought it's time to bring this discussion on The Breakfast Club. We have actors and screenwriters joining us. So we're really bringing you both who's in front of the camera and who's behind it to show you all of the perspectives. That and a lot more. It's Friday as we sometimes say, which means we bring you what you can do through the weekend. Very quickly first, all of the headlines.
Let's start with the Bollywood's age gap casting that's under the spotlight. What is it that the Indian film fraternity feels about it? Because Indian cinema pairings are facing a reality check. There is a change in the way the audiences are viewing this kind of an age gap. Questions are being raised on the reliability of such pairings. Big stars, young co-stars, but the same old script. Why is what people are asking. Is Indian cinema caught in a casting loop? We take this up with a very interesting group of people on the show.
And after that, a voice that is giving folk a fresh beat. Folkin Rani, as she calls herself. And this album, this is writer, singer and performer Simran Chaudhary joining us on the show. Her gorgeous voice as she sings some songs for us this morning and walks us through her journey.
And thank God it's Friday indeed. So we have the perfect weekend planner for you. Where to go, what to watch, how to spend your weekend. Kaveri Gupta gets the entire itinerary here on The Breakfast Club.
And after that, your entertainment lowdown of the week. The biggest Bollywood and Hollywood controversies explained. We break them down right here.
All right, what's coming up first? It's an image that Indian cinema has normalized for decades. Male superstars in their 40s and 50s being paired with women less than half their age on screen. And to a large extent, remember, the viewer rarely questioned it back in the day. But today, with the teaser of Dhurandhar featuring 40-year-old Ranveer Singh alongside 20-year-old, half her age, Sara Arjun, conversation has completely exploded online. The first look teaser sparked a flurry of reactions. Some asking if the pairing would even be romantic. Others calling out Bollywood's obsession with casting female debutantes opposite aging male leads.
And surely this pattern isn't new to Indian cinema. Let's take you down the memory lane. So let's take you back to Om Shanti Om. Most of our audience watching today will remember this film. Shah Rukh Khan at that time was 42. Deepika was making her debut, and remember, she was just 21 at the time. And SRK actually went on to admit on a Coffee with Karan interview how strange it felt. Karan Johar jokingly called him a creepy uncle for romancing someone half his age. That happened. But do we recall internet fury at that time? Not really. Audiences at that time actually seemed to say that she should feel lucky because she's getting to pair against such a big face.
What happened a year later though? A year later, it was Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi. Once again, Shah Rukh Khan, who was 43 at that time, was paired with Anushka Sharma. She was 20, just out of modelling. Here too, the age gap was 23 years, but the innocence of the storyline sort of softened the entire backlash, and that's why it seemingly went unnoticed. Salman Khan has also done it multiple times. In Dabangg 3, he was 54 when he introduced Sai Manjrekar, who was just 18, in her teens then. Social media couldn't resist trolling with memes dubbing Salman the Bollywood uncle chasing college girls.
And in his movie Sikandar, 59-year-old Salman pairs with 28-year-old Rashmika Mandana, sparking chatter about history repeating itself. And then we need to go to the person that your mind might already have gone to at this point. Akshay Kumar has faced repeated criticism on this. Let's go to Samrat Prithviraj. We're just showing you those visuals. This was one of the most vocal times he faced backlash around it. He was 55, he was cast opposite 25-year-old at that point debutant Manushi Chillar. Many felt the romantic scenes lacked believability. Memes joked about Akshay romancing Miss World's batchmates, because you'll remember she was just fresh off that competition at that point. These are still some of the relatively recent movies. So all the examples we're telling you are in the last few years. We wanted this to feel like a familiar discussion for those who've been clued on to the cinema. But anyone who's slightly older watching this knows that actresses like Hema Malini and Asha Parekh have been paired opposite much older Raj Kapoor, Shami Kapoor back in the day. That trend very much continues.
So let's talk about what happened from then and in between, let's say before 2000. There was Amitabh Bachchan in Suryavansh, for instance. He was 57, and opposite Amitabh was Saundarya, who was 27 at that time. We talk about Lal Badshah, another hit film of Mr. Bachchan. He was paired with Manisha Koirala, again 28 years his junior back in the day. Even in the 90s, these pairings, despite age disparity, drew little attention. It was spoken of, but today, these examples have resurfaced in conversations about how differently men and women age in Indian cinema and how differently they're allowed to continue acting in Indian cinema despite these age differences that are being picked more often than not by the filmmakers, by the way.
Yeah, this isn't limited to Bollywood alone though. In Tamil cinema's Sarkar, Vijay was 44. He was opposite Keerthy Suresh in her early 20s. Kamal Hassan's Thug Life has triggered online debates at 70. He's cast opposite Trisha. Trisha is 42. Viewers are questioning whether such pairings still resonate. And then you have Malayalam cinema's Ratni Vedam and other films where age gap was integral to the storyline themselves. So if it's built in, does it make it all right? That's also a question.
Let's talk about Bengali cinema. Titli, for instance, explored a teenage girl's crush on a man old enough to be her father. So on TBC, what we're going to do this morning is we're going to ask, why is it that this pattern has existed for decades, not for the last 10 years alone, for decades altogether? Some say it's tradition. Older men stars have always commanded box office power, and audiences lapped it up without complaint. Others believe the real issue is actually representation. Why do we not see older women instead being paired opposite much younger men on screen?
Films like The Intern and What's Love Got to Do with It have gone global. Has Bollywood even tried the formula? There's also a growing group of viewers who are uncomfortable when these age gaps stretch beyond 2 decades, especially when the actress is barely out of her teens. And critics argue it perpetuates the idea that a woman's shelf life in cinema ends at 30. So the message is, what are we sending the message to younger girls? That you have an expiry date, but that the men watching don't?
Not everyone agrees. Some have defended it as artistic freedom. Others have called it a business choice.
Yeah.
After all, younger faces are seen as fresh, marketable to an extent, if we could use that term. And a few have even called out the outrage itself as premature.
Okay, so we're very excited to introduce our guest. We'll do that in a second. But has Bollywood's formula aged badly? Is this a manufactured controversy that we're discussing right now? Does India really not care about this? We'll understand a little bit more right now. Let's go over to our guest to understand. First, we have author and columnist Advaita Kala. She's also someone who's worked extensively in films and screenwriting. We are also joined by actor Omkar Kapoor. Omkar, we're going to ask you what it feels like to be in front of the frame, especially when you see these choices getting made. But first, let's go over to Advaita to understand. Advaita, you've been involved in this entire industry for decades. And so I want to come to you to ask you, because you've worked behind the scenes, you've intimately gotten to see how these decisions actually happen. Who takes these decisions? Is it purely a marketing call? So, Adwaita, take us behind the scenes. Tell us how you see this decision getting made. I know I've read of sometimes actors demanding that we want a younger actress so we look younger. Is that always the case?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say that this happens in every instance, but one can make a generic kind of statement about the film industry and that it is a patriarchal industry. There's no doubt about it. So we shouldn't even, beat around the bush as far as that is concerned. This is what it's about. Most of our male superstars are now heading into their 6th decade after something like 30, 40 years in the business. How many female actors just as accomplished in acting are in that phase of their career? No, not at all. I mean, even today, at the age of 30, it's pretty much over for an actress. Then she's called someone who's, do we want to cast her? Should we cast her? It's changing, but it's not changing as much as it needs to. And remember, the male superstars also need to look young and fresh and appealing. So the best way to do that is to cast them opposite young, fresh faces, female actors, who can then, sort of balance out their aging. Then there's the economics of it. If you look at the way the films are doing in Bollywood today and the way they're crashing and these bloated budgets, 300 crores, 400 crores, out of which 60%, 70% is the male superstar's salary or his fees from that budget, then you'll have to pair him next to someone who's relatively newer, because more power to them, but Deepika Padukone and people like that are asking for more money and they're getting it. And so this is like a complex, it's financial, it's patriarchal, it's a mix of all of these things.
So you're saying the problem would have dialed down. Perhaps, Adwaita, there would have not been so much of online criticism or, this kind of a reaction coming in for the upcoming film, which has Ranveer take the lead role. Had this role reversal been seen in the past years? Had we seen women as much older than the ones who they were being paired with, the male actor they were being paired with, this problem would have not risen, right?
Well, that kind of a film would have been called alternative cinema, right? Where the woman is older than the man.
Yeah.
It's not normalized in this way. It would be a specific kind of story with a certain kind of aesthetic, and that just goes to show how much we've normalized these large age gap stories. And it's not even a story really, it's casting. So I shouldn't say story. Yes, there are some stories in which this kind of age gap is built in, but mostly we see it's a consequence of casting for the reasons that I just mentioned.
I also want to point out, there was a recent interview in Indian Express with Pairings Nihalani, and he talked about a 2005 film where Akshay Kumar had asked to be cast against Kareena Kapoor because he wanted to be cast with a younger actress. But the worrying thing, of course, is that now, 20 years later, that same demand might be taking place, but now Kareena might be considered too old for him to be against, and I just mean that in terms of the younger actresses he's pairing against. And I want to be careful. I don't want us to target one actor or one actress when we're having this discussion. It is industry-wide. So let's go over to Omkar Kapoor to understand more. Omkar, when you're taking part in these projects, just walk us through when you have an older actor and much younger actress dynamic in the film. It doesn't have to obviously be a film where you are the lead and there's a much younger lead. But I just want to know, does the entire set have an awareness that, okay, there's this, 20-year age gap that we're all portraying? Do we feel strange, or is it just, order of the day, business as usual?
Well, good morning firstly, and to answer your question, yes, absolutely, I won't lie about it. There is a sense of weirdness that we all feel, even when the casting happens, or as long as the story demands, and we all know that, I think all creative artists working on the project, on the script, be kind of aware whether the script actually demands it or it's just done on the casting basis.
Yeah.
So it is a little, unlikely to be someone, and constantly when you see it around that, most of the projects or most of the age gap between the leading actor and the leading actress is as such, or has been as such, with the kind of films that we have of late seen. So, I mean, definitely there should be a better way to cast about it, and it does in the long run in terms of the process of pursuing this profession as an actor for any female artist. It does make the process a little more insecure. Personally, it makes you feel okay. Your shelf life is even shorter now. So what do you do to make the most of to keep yourself young? To keep in the good books of all of the people so that you can be casted for that part. Because, yes, I mean, it is a little patriarchal society where kind of, the leading actors do take the shot in terms of
Call the shots.
sometimes the cast,
Yeah.
sometimes the casting calls as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, depends who's more powerful on board, be it the director, be it the producer, be it the star on film.
Yeah.
So that does end up happening.
But Omkar, just to ask you about your personal experience, we want to draw in a little bit of what happens in the industry from your experience. Have you come across stories? This necessarily doesn't have to be you or limited to you, but have you come across people who you've worked with, people you're friends with in the industry, male actors who've literally put their foot down and they've said, no, she's too young to be paired opposite me in this particular film, I'm not going to do it, let's reconsider this. Have you come across any such instance ever?
Well, personally, I would say I haven't come across any as such where I've seen a mid-40s actor say that, let's not cast a mid-20s, let's cast someone more relatable, which looks more suitable as my spouse or as my partner.
Because when you do that, you're also going to be admitting to the fact that you've aged. So not many people would want to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a very silly trick that some of the leading actors try to do to make themselves look a little young. But I think the audience is smart enough now, and I think that's the reason why we are having this conversation out here, that it's no more works. Because when the age gap is too much, it starts looking funny and it starts looking weird, and then all of them get trolled. So ideally, it should be best if it's, if you stick to honesty with this, the script writer has written this story. There is a reason why, in real life also, it's very rarely where we see such age gaps when two people get married. So why to do that on screen and set a wrong example? So I don't think so. That should be pursued, and I think it should be a fair thing that should be given.
I also think there's another nuance to the entire discussion we're having today. Because the other question that I'd like us to bring about is that it's not just about romantic pairings. In general, we don't see enough actresses portray roles in their 40s and their 50s. So we were actually looking back at what examples exist. Recent past may last 10 years may in terms of hits. English Winglish is one, where you had Sridevi portray, a housewife, a homemaker, and it was a success. But she was very comfortably in that film in her 40s, and it was part of the storyline. Now, if you go to OTT, there's Arya as one example. Sushmita Sen playing a powerful woman. There's also Delhi Crime. That's another example. Shefali Shah, again, a middle-aged woman in that film, and she's a strong, fierce character. So I want to ask you this, Adwaita. I thought that this entire Breakfast Club topic, actually, the nuance is also that we need to show more women in their 40s, in their 50s, show the quieter parts of their lives. When's the last time we saw a film in Bollywood that just focused on the life of a 40-year-old woman? But I want to ask you, Adwaita, are you seeing OTT change that? Because you talked about change coming in. I gave 2 OTT examples. These are successful OTT examples. So do you see a change coming in? Does it show audiences are interested?
Oh yes, absolutely. And I want to mention my film here as well, Kahani, in which Vidya Balan was pregnant. And that was really tough because, here you had a heroine who was pregnant. And that's not, again, something that, Bollywood is, how do you sexualize that in a way that works for them? So it's definitely a challenge. And I'm really, really hoping that OTT breaks through. But then we're falling into another trap here, because then we're saying that women in their 40s and 50s have a certain complexity in their lives. Maybe a relationship breakdown or some sort of career fall or something like that, which younger women don't have. So I'm one who's pitching for complex roles for women across generations, because you know, we know how we were in our 20s, what we grappled with in our 30s, what it's like to be in our 40s. You know, we have different life experiences in those different decades.
Yeah.
So I actually want cinema to be representative and explorative of that, and not necessarily, you know, just focusing on women in their 40s and how life has changed and how they're one divorce done and single mothers, and you know, I mean, there's, of course, those exist in real life, but that's becoming a stereotype as well.
Yeah, you're right. And also, to add to that, Advaita, I think there are women who are being taken up as lead actors in certain women-centric roles or films, and that's changing with OTT for sure. I think the bigger problem is we're not seeing women in their late 30s, 40s or 50s being cast opposite relatively younger men. I think that's where the gender disparity is being spoken of. The pattern overall is changing, don't you think? But we're not seeing a role reversal here. That shift needs to be seen. Advaita?
Well, yes, but that shift also, I think, can be problematic, because remember, we had a very tragic incident where we're still figuring out what exactly happened in the last 2 weeks, right? With a 42-year-old dancer, actor, Shefali Jariwala, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is pressure of aging in the industry, which is obscene and which is awful for women. And it's as young as 23, 24 think that they're missing the boat and they're getting too old. I mean, it's shocking to anyone outside of the industry.
Yeah, but that's where my question. That's where my question came from, Advaita. Why is it that men are not feeling the same pressure? Sure, they are to an extent, but they.
Yeah, let's go to Omkar also to ask him.
Omkar,
exactly.
I think men start feeling that pressure, let's say post, you know, mid 40s or towards their 50s. I mean, it's very different for how women have been made to feel around this whole age scenario when it comes to their career span overall.
Well, I think, to be honest, it's the same for both the genders in terms of pressure. Yes, there is an added pressure because, you know, the casting over females, obviously the shelf life, everyone tends to quickly have replacements for you. Well, whereas as a male actor, you can be casted as entering your fatherhood. So you can be casted for those roles. And if you're a genuinely good actor, or you're known for your talent, I think you could have your choices and made to be that way as such. But I think times are changing, and like you said, and she mentioned a few examples of a few stories that have absolutely just being told, which are completely female-driven centric. So I think times are changing, and I think they are changing for good. And so that pressure is always going to be there, be it a male actor or female actor. And yes, but what it probably does to all of them, in like Advaita mentioned about Shefali or anyone who's trying to be there and trying to, you know, not age. Sometimes some people, due to misguidance, I think take a little a shortcut to kind of try to be, you know, stay young or, you know, use medical, you know, help. But in the long run, what it does is, you know, the fame, the glory, everything is going to go away. But you're going to live with yourself, with your body, with your health. So, you know, that is going to happen. So the ideal sense is when you know that you're with your own self. Firstly, this is your body and your mind and your soul, and you're going to live with this and not chase something that is any which way is a mirage and someday is going to go away any which ways.
But, you know, if my memory serves me right, I don't remember a Shah Rukh Khan or an Akshay Kumar or a Salman Khan taking up the role of a father, for instance, or an uncle, and as a lead actor in any of the films, if my memory serves me right. So I don't know to what extent
I feel like
changing.
For Shah Rukh, we can probably think of examples, not off the top of my head, but it feels like in this moment I'm like, wait, are you right? We'll have to quickly see that. But I want to ask Advaita a question. Advaita, you took us to a very beautiful place a few minutes ago when you kind of talked of the world we want to see. And I want to ask you more about that. So today, if say a producer came to you from Bollywood and they said, look, we will fund whatever it is that you give us. Funding is guaranteed. I now want to ask you, what is the dream script you would like to see in which you were casting a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old woman, what would that, because you were saying very beautifully that they can't be the only ones we show complexly, we have to show everyone complexly. That's the beauty of a good film. Right now, as we speak, I just want to remind our audiences, 52-year-old, I think, Charlize Theron right now has a film debuting across the world. She's playing an action heroine in that. But even in India, it's happening. So I don't want to make that Hollywood-Bollywood comparison, because Hollywood में भी वही गलतियाँ, that age gap वाली चीज़ वहाँ पे भी चल रही थी बहुत for many decades. So Advaita, just tell us, what does the dream script look like for you? A complex role.
You mentioned Charlize Theron, and you know what mostly Western media is talking about is that she has some 20-year-old lover.
Yes, I know.
And all the headlines are about that. So, there's this skewed perspective when it comes to viewing women of a certain age that doesn't exist when it comes to viewing men. So it's tragic in a sense. So I almost feel that women in our generation, I'm in my 40s, have to now actually be assertive about our age and in our skin at that age. So it's important that, we confront it in a way that opens the door for the younger generations of women to not feel awkward as they head towards that landmark or that milestone, and especially in the entertainment industry, because I think it's such a problem, because even the older women are trying to look younger, they're starving themselves, they're working against the clock rather than just breathing and letting themselves be who they are at the age that they are. And you're right, there has to be backing as far as this is concerned, from the audience, from producers, from directors. I mean, as a writer, I can definitely come up with a story. I would love to do, for example, to answer your question, an intergenerational story, because I really do feel that in India, feminism is an oral tradition more than, something written.
Yeah.
So, and it's passed down from generation to generation, from our grandmothers to our mothers to us and onwards. So I would love something like that. But then again, I'm limited as an actor because I'm not funding these projects, right?
Yeah.
I need a producer. I need a director. I need other actors and actresses to green light it. I need an actor who will be confident enough to say that, yes, I'm going to let the woman walk away with most of the lines or the camera time, or at least let her have equal camera time.
A moment in the sun. Yeah.
Would you consider Gehraiya as an exception? I don't know, Advaita. Though, again, Deepika was relatively young. She was maybe 35. And Siddhant Chaturvedi, who was opposite Deepika, was, in his late 20s. Would you consider that as a change for good? A small change, but...
Well, it's certainly different, yeah. It's certainly different.
We're like reaching for,
examples. But then again, it was all about like how hot the scenes were, and that was the whole peg on which it was hung. And it still again feeds into this like 20-something male fantasy of being with this older Bhabhi-like character woman. I mean, Deepika was of course not in that mold, but you see what I mean? Slightly...
we have the last 2 minutes. What I also want both of you all to touch upon is the other aspect of the story. There are those, including the senior actors from the film fraternity, who've come out to say, look, we've been doing this for the longest time. That's how we had our first films. And if age is not a factor when it comes to love, should it really be a factor when it comes to movies? So I want a quick comment from the both of you on this. Omkar, to you first. What's your sense on those who are backing this? It's okay, it's movies, it's business, and that's how it should be seen.
Well, I feel that in today's time, the audience is way too smart to kind of to read through everything, or whether to know, there are certain films where you see, and the audience also laughs at the fact that when they see a age gap of 30 years, unnecessarily dancing on a Bollywood number, and and that does end up happening. So I think that as makers, as creative artists, it's our responsibility and it's our duty to kind of be as honest to the script, at least that's possible. Just try to say the story right in a right way. There is a reason why a casting director or a casting process is done to kind of get things right. For example, in certain films, I can name someone like a filmmaker like Raju Hirani, where in his film you see most of the casting is done appropriately, just purely on the casting requirement basis, because the role is as such, the character is written as such. So I think if we just try to stick to that formula and just stay honest to the story and the storyline, I think everything will just start falling in place.
And we'll get a closing comment from Advaita too. But Advaita, sometimes the script is used to justify that age gap, isn't it? I do want to ask.
Sometimes the script is used in ways that you as a writer would never imagine. And when you go to watch the film, you wonder, I mean, did I really write this?
Yeah.
So you know, there is creative freedom for everybody, but let's not beat around the bush. You know, when it's still a very male-dominated industry. If there is a male superstar in your film, trust me, he's going to call the shots in terms of who's going to be the actress, what scale at the film is going to be made, and who will even be the other actors and actresses. I mean, Arjun would tell you this. You know, it makes a huge difference who he wants to work with, because you know, films are like these little camps that move from one place to the other during the course of filming, and people have to vibe and get along. I get that. But also it influences the casting and critical creative decisions, which should rest with the people who are authorized and have the expertise to do with them.
But I love that we have an audience, Advaita, today that is quick to point out how this is problematic on so many levels. So love that. Let's see whether or not that's powerful enough to bring about a change though.
Yeah, but also grateful, Advaita, that you are pushing the envelope and women like you are pushing the envelope with your writing. Omkar, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a great ally through this entire discussion. We're going to be ending now. We're going to be going very quickly to a break.
And on the other side of this very short break, we're going to go across to a voice that's giving folk music a fresh beat in our country. She's a writer, singer and a performer. We'll be right back with a very interesting conversation with Simran Chaudhary in just a bit.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
US President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced a 50% tariff on all Brazilian products starting from August 1st. He also called the trial of former President Bolsonaro a witch hunt and an international disgrace. Now Trump accused Brazil of undermining free elections and American free speech through secret censorship orders. He has also said that a 50% tariff on all Brazilian goods would begin August 1st. Now this didn't sit well with Brazilian President Lula da Silva, who has lashed out at Donald Trump. This is the breaking input that we are getting for you, where we are learning that US President Donald Trump has now imposed 50% tariff on all the Brazilian products, and this will start from August 1st. I'm being joined by CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop. Akansha, what would have prompted Donald Trump to impose a 50% tariff on Brazil?
Right. Remember, he's really been riled up by the Brazilian President Lula da Silva, and we all know that this is also being used now as a pressure tactic by the US President, who's now also referred to how his predecessor, Lula da Silva's predecessor, Jair, who's the far-right leader, Jair Bolsonaro, has been a victim of a witch hunt. Donald Trump called on Brazilian authorities to halt Bolsonaro's prosecution over an alleged coup attempt. And of course, we all know that it was Brazil that played host to the recently concluded BRICS summit, where the declaration also not just mentioned the rising tariffs, but also condemned the airstrikes on Iran. And that was a direct reference to the United States and Israel both. But most importantly, it was the Brazilian president, Ayesha, who actually condemned the US president for the tariffs when he directly hit out saying that the world does not need an emperor. So this kind of a spat that we are seeing between the Brazilian president and the US president has been in the making for quite a few.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. It's Friday and we're bringing you someone next who is a born singer. She's got a voice that feels like home. On the Breakfast Club, we're speaking to Simran Chaudhary, the singer who's taking Punjabi folk and giving it a fresh pop vibe. She writes, she composes, she even fronts her own videos. She manages to make it all look easy and gorgeous.
She's been called India's folk pop innovator, but for Simran, it's about staying true to her roots while speaking to a generation that grew up both listening to Spotify music and also Dadi's stories. And she's got a new track, Sayana Mane. So we're going to hear it from her. We're going to try hearing it from her. She just might give us a few lines. Let's quickly go across to Simran this morning. Hi Simran, lovely to have you with us. This morning. Thank you for speaking to us. Tell us about your brand of music first up. We've heard so much of folk while introducing you. You're being called the folk pop innovator of India's music scene. How is that going?
Well, I think folk and innovation, I mean, people do have that perception that these are two ironical terms. But it's very important to understand that when you say folk, people usually tend to understand that maybe it's some recreation, maybe it's some fixing of something, or maybe like refixing something that has already been done in the past. But when you say folk pop innovation, it means picking up stories, picking up conversations, picking up things that have never been talked about, that have never been spoken about, not necessarily picking songs that are popular, like let's say how people think about Akashni, or maybe how they think about Jutti Kasuri, and people think that okay, if it is folk pop, that means it's just the recreation of those songs. But what I am essentially doing over here is I am actually picking up the culture. I'm picking up what the culture represents, what it talks about, what it is based on. So which is why it's very important to understand that folk is not just limited to all these popular numbers that we've heard of. It is actually about bringing up stories. It is actually about bringing up conversations that we've all heard. We've all heard our nannies and dadis talking to each other, and maybe for example, there are songs that I did wherein there was this one conversation that a woman has after her husband has left for work, and now she's sitting and she's having this little conversation, banter with her other fellow village women, and now they're all bitching about their husbands. Something as local, something as rooted as that. So that is what I'm essentially doing. I'm picking up those stories, building a narrative around them, binding them into a song, and then presenting them under the folk pop genre.
How beautifully answered. I love the nuance you're bringing in there. Can you tell us how you balance all of this though? Because that's multiple different roles you're doing.
I think I probably won't even have like a proper explanation to that. I'd probably just say, it's all God's grace, to be honest, because singing, yes, it is a God's gift. But then when it comes to composing, when it comes to songwriting, it is, I don't know, there's this beautiful Urdu word which is called Amad. I think that is all it is. It's just pure divine intervention when it comes to that. And that's pretty much how it happens.
Oh, wow. Every singer, and you would agree to this, has either a music guru or someone they grew up listening to. Who is that one person for you? The singing that's influenced you the most?
I think number one has to be Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab. I always say this whenever I talk to people. I say that I've had this pre-birth sort of connection with him, because obviously one is when my mother was expecting me, मेरे घर पे सिर्फ नुसरत साहब की tapes चला करती थी. And even when I was growing up, I like very vividly remember, like when I was 3 years old, 4 years old, मेरी सुबह नींद ही घर पे जो कैसेट्स चल रही होती थी नुसरत साहब की, उससे मेरी नींद खुलती थी. Then उस्ताद गुलाम अली खान साहब, उनकी बहुत गज़लें घर में चला करती थी. I've also been a big admirer of Gurdas Maan Sahab for the style of singing and for that passion of singing that he has, that he just woos people across age groups, across genders. I think that is one thing that I love about him. So yeah, I think multiple artists there. And then if I have to talk internationally, I would say Whitney Houston, for that matter. Growing up, I've listened to her songs, and then I think my current obsession and my current idolizing happens a lot around Adele. I love her persona. I love the way she projects. I love that whole strong woman energy that she carries with herself.
You've also, let's talk about your collaborations. Amit Trivedi, Sachin Jigar, Gippy Grewal. Tell us about that experience.
So yeah, God is kind, and I've been fortunate enough to have worked with some incredible artists. I've worked with Sachin Jigar on Aayi Nahi and on Murder Mubarak, and there are a couple of songs that are coming up again with them. I've worked with Amit Trivedi on Husna Di Pariye, and there are more playback numbers that I've recorded for him again. Then Gippy Grewal and a lot of artists there. So I think the beauty that I have personally felt, and if I talk about artists of this particular league and this, I don't know, so to say, age group, because of obviously, and not like age group, like age wise, but the experience wise, because they've spent so many years in the industry. I think what comes naturally and beautifully to them is, over the time, they've probably had their own journey where they kind of know how to give you the canvas to paint. You know, they're not protective, they're not possessive about their own canvas. They love artists when they come on board, and they have the liberty to paint their own picture. This is exactly what happened to me when I went to Sachin Jigar for the first time. They told me to write the song as well for a web series they were doing then. It's called Ji Karda for Amazon. So there was this song Ammiye, and he asked me that, do you write your songs, do you compose them? I said, of course sir, I do. And he said, I'm going to give you a mood, just paint the picture that comes to you. And I wrote the song, and the song got published as it is.
Lovely. Simran, you do know we're not going to let you go without one thing, right? You know what that is, right? We're going to keep your latest and the best for the last, but a few lines of your favorite piece of work so far. Let's hear it.
मैं दुनिया नू जा दसांगी, एक तेरे ही नाल वसांगी. मैं दुनिया नू जा दसांगी, एक तेरे ही नाल वसांगी. तू हाथ फड़ ले मेरा, मैं नाम लिखा तेरा, तकदीरां तो खोलवांगी. मैं दुनिया नू जा दसांगी, एक तेरे ही नाल वसांगी.
Beautiful. Wow, beautiful, yeah. Tell us, when you're performing, what is your thought of, how do you think of India's live performance, live gig scene currently? Is it supportive, for example, to your kind of work?
So you know how India obviously has walked multiple steps towards that whole global stardom. I mean, look at Diljit Dosanjh, look at Karan Aujla, look at Sunidhi Chauhan being this mega star that she is. I just saw just 2 days ago that Arijit Singh on Spotify, he has crossed the numbers of Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran or anybody for that matter, right? So India is progressing towards that whole globalization and that whole global fandom, so to say. But I also feel there's still it still needs a lot of work in terms of the female artists coming up. I mean, Sunidhi Chauhan, yes, she is like the biggest diva the country has right now, but obviously she also comes from a very Bollywood sort of legacy, credibility. I feel India, if there's like one thing that we really need to work on and the audiences need to be kind of more accepting towards is the whole female artist in the independent zone and accepting them the way they accept everybody else. I think it's more like an evolution that still needs to happen, where they get used to listening to what female artists and what females in the society have to say. So, but I think we are in no rush. Evolutions they take years and years altogether, and it'll be foolish of me or anybody to expect like an overnight change over here.
So you're saying lots more needs to be done in terms of independent artist industry, but how do you assess the future, going by what's happened so far, the pace at which this kind of music is being accepted? How hopeful are you of a positive change, Simran?
Trust me, it's just going to rise multi-folds. It's only the beginning of an era. It is like the perfect era for any independent artist to make their name and fame. The audiences, they are listening and vibing to independent music much more than they used to do earlier. Like how back in the times, even while growing up, for me, the biggest source of music used to be Bollywood films for me. But right now, it's not limited to that. Like maybe sometimes you'd come across a film song and you'd be like, okay, like what crap is that, right? But with the independent space, I feel there is more liberty to express what you feel, more liberty to express what certain things they drive you, what things affect you. There's more vulnerability, there's more wisdom, I feel. So it's only going to grow because there is no such pressure of fitting into a scenario, unlike the film music. So it's only the beginning of a beautiful era.
How wonderful. Okay, we made you sing a little earlier for us and you sang at that point one of your favorites. Now we want to ask you if you can sing us your latest release. Just give us a hint.
Wow. Sayana mane batiya, sayana mane batiya, pasna aave, sham satave, pasna aave, sham satave, जाग मैं काटूं रतिया, सैया न माने बतिया. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I could clearly see how that lit up your face, how that song truly made you feel. Thank you so much, Simran. But can I also ask you a personal question? What is your favorite piece of work so far? What's got your heart?
Genuinely, if you ask me, my favorite has been a song that is pretty underrated, honestly. And I'm really hoping that someday it just finds its way and it just reaches the kind of audience that it should reach. And I mean, like, fingers crossed, but Sanja Pyar is my favorite release so far.
Lovely. Fingers crossed for that, and fingers crossed for all the splendid work that you're hoping comes your way. Thank you so much, Simran. Thank you for making our day so very great. A great start to the day, really. And thank God it's Friday. So let's talk about what we're going to bring for you over the weekend. Our colleague Kaveri Gupta is here with the ultimate weekend guide.
Take a look.
I'm
Kaveri Gupta and welcome back to Thank God It's Friday, your ultimate guide to everything fabulous. This weekend we're talking about blockbuster movies, OTT binges and events that will make you cancel all your other plans. So let's not waste a second more. Let's kick off at the movies first. First up is Superman. Yes, he's back, but with a fresh new face. Directed by none other than James Gunn, this is the second reboot of the iconic Superman saga. In this one, we are diving deep into Clark Kent's balancing act between his alien roots and his very human heart. Next is Aankhon Ki Gustakhiyan. This one's a softie. Set on a train journey, it's all about a soulful bond between a visually impaired musician and a theatre artist, inspired by a Ruskin-born short story and starring Shania Kapoor in her debut opposite the ever-talented Vikrant Massey. This one's serving art, emotion and meaningful glances. On number 3, we have Malik. Brace yourselves, action junkies. Rajkumar Rao is back, but you have never seen him like this before. He plays a gangster rising through the ranks of the underworld in a gritty action thriller that also stars Prosenjit Chatterjee and Manushi Chillar. Now, if you are not in the mood to step out, I got you. Here's what's cooking on OTT. Better late than single. This Netflix reality show is like a warm hug for late bloomers, complete with makeovers, dating tips and a whole lot of first date jitters. It's cute, chaotic and totally binge-worthy. Also streaming on Netflix is Aap Jaisa Koi. This one's a romantic gem. R. Madhavan and Fatima Sana Sheikh light up the screen in this heartfelt tale of love between a middle-aged Sanskrit professor and a French teacher. Set in Jamshedpur, it's a love letter to second chances, and trust me, you will feel things. Last but not the least is Special Ops Season 2 on Jio Hotstar. KK Menon is back as Himmat Singh, and this time it's all about taking down threats to India's digital economy. Cyber terrorism, AI, espionage. If you like your thrillers smart and slick, don't miss this one. Moving on, now let's hit the ground. Delhi, this weekend we have Bismil Ki Mehfil. The Sufi king himself, Bismil, is coming home, and trust me, this isn't just a concert. It's soul-stirring, heart-lifting magic, from timeless Sufi anthems to original tracks that will give you goosebumps. Maestro Shankar Mahadevan is live in Mumbai tomorrow. Get ready to be blown away by musical genius. Don't you miss it. And well, that's a wrap on this edition of Thank God It's Friday. From silver screens to your living room couch to the electrifying energy of live music, this weekend is stacked. We will be back next Friday with even more to look forward to. Until then, stay fabulous, stay safe and have an amazing weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Alright, let's take you now to the world of what's happened in Bollywood over the last few days. There's Bollywood buzz, legal battles and financial fraud. It's been a wild ride.
In fact, Network 18's Shah gets you more on all that's happened this past week. Take a look.
Hello there, let's take a quick look at the week that was. Aamir Khan played a rather special role at Tamil actor Vishnu Vishal and badminton champion Jwala Gutta's baby girl's christening ceremony. The superstar recently flew down to Hyderabad and in an emotional ceremony named their little one Meera. However, fans were left confused about the connection between Aamir and the new parents. In an interview, Vishnu later revealed that Aamir recommended an IVF specialist to the couple who was trying to get pregnant and even took care of Jwala, who stayed at his Mumbai home for 10 months during her IVF treatment. Saif Ali Khan's claim to a sprawling 15,000 crore ancestral estate in Bhopal has hit a major legal roadblock. The Madhya Pradesh High Court has quashed a decades-old ruling that had earlier validated the Pataudi family's ownership of the royal properties inherited from the Nawab of Bhopal. The decision has reignited a complex legal battle rooted in princely succession laws, post-partition migration and the controversial Enemy Property Act. Until a fresh hearing by the trial court, Saif and his family cannot claim legal ownership of the properties. Malayalam actor-producer Sobin Shahir along with producers were recently arrested by the Kerala police in connection with a ₹7 crore financial fraud linked to the 2024 hit film Manjumal Boys. The arrests followed after allegations from an investor who claims he was promised a 40% share of the profits but received only ₹5.99 crore. The trio was later released on bail. However, authorities insist on a detailed investigation into the revenue generated by the film. The Kerala High Court had earlier refused to quash the FIR filed against the producers. Following an earlier legal dispute involving Dhanush, the makers of Nayanthara, Beyond the Fairy Tale, a Netflix documentary chronicling the life of Nayanthara, are now facing a fresh copyright challenge from the rights holders of the 2005 Tamil blockbuster Chandramukhi. AP International, the company which holds the audio and video rights to Chandramukhi, has alleged that footage from the film was used in the documentary without permission or license. They have reportedly sent a cease and desist notice to both the studio and the streaming platform, demanding they halt usage and pay ₹5 crore in damages. Juhu police have arrested Vedika Prakash Shetty, former PA to Alia Bhatt. She has been accused of allegedly swindling money from a production house and from the actor herself, worth more than ₹76 lakh. Alia's mother, Soni Razdan, had filed a complaint against Vedika earlier this year with the police. Urvashi Rautela's mother too revealed shocking details about Vedika, who served as her daughter's PA between 2015 and 2017. She added that Vedika engaged in multiple acts of deceit and theft, running into lakhs of rupees, causing a great deal of financial loss to the Rautelas. That's all for this week. I'll see you soon.
This is the drive.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
US President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced a 50% tariff on all Brazilian products starting from August 1st. He also called the trial of former President Bolsonaro a witch hunt and an international disgrace. Now Trump accused Brazil of undermining free elections and American free speech through secret censorship orders. He has also said that a 50% tariff on all Brazilian goods would begin August 1st. Now this didn't sit well with Brazilian President Lula da Silva, who has lashed out at Donald Trump. This is the breaking input that we are getting for you, where we are learning that US President Donald Trump has now imposed 50% tariff on all the Brazilian products, and this will start from August 1st. I'm being joined by CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop. Akansha, what would have prompted Donald Trump to impose a 50% tariff on Brazil?
Right. Remember, he's really been riled up by the Brazilian President Lula da Silva, and we all know that this is also being used now as a pressure tactic by the US President, who's now also referred to how his predecessor, Lula da Silva's predecessor, Jair, who's the far-right leader, Jair Bolsonaro, has been a victim of a witch hunt. Donald Trump called on
Okay, we're going very quickly next to the markets.
Gift Nifty trends indicate a weak start for Indian equity indices today. Asian shares were mixed as US President Trump tariff imposition continues on countries still. In fact, US stocks also ended up boosted by a good set of company earnings, and as investors chose to ignore Donald Trump's tariffs, this was the trend that kicked in. Crude oil prices and gold also traded up today, once again owing to the Trump tariff imposition.
Okay, now we're going to take a look at sectors where the Indian jewellery industry is witnessing a shift from unorganised to the organised sector. Favourable policies, lower gold customs duty, it's led to significant reduction in the pricing gap between these two segments. Phased implementation of mandatory hallmarking regulations is also contributing to the shift. Varied designs, better consumer experience offered by organised players, it's all contributing to market share gains. You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's jewellery sector, various other actionable insights on the market. It's the premier destination for all investing views, financial insights that you're ever going to need, brought to you by Money Control.
All right, hope you all had a good morning and a good start to your day owing to some singing that we'd brought to you. That's all we could pack for you this morning though.
Have a lovely weekend, and as usual, write into us to tell us what it is that you want to see us cover. What are the topics that have you held in the clasp of your hands? What are the health topics you maybe want to see us touch? Especially those of you who have passions and hobbies, we love to cover them here on The Breakfast Club. Tell us more at CNN News 18 on X. Just hashtag The Breakfast Club so we know. For now though, thank you for watching.
See you, bye-bye.
Brought to you by... This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
US President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced a 50% tariff on all Brazilian products starting from August 1st. He also called the trial of former President Bolsonaro a witch hunt and an international disgrace. Now Trump accused Brazil of undermining free elections and American free speech through secret censorship orders. He has also said that a 50% tariff on all Brazilian goods would begin August 1st. Now this didn't sit well with Brazilian President Lula da Silva, who has lashed out at Donald Trump. This is the breaking input that we are getting for you, where we are learning that US President Donald Trump has now imposed 50% tariff on all the Brazilian products, and this will start from August 1st. I'm being joined by CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop. Akansha, what would have prompted Donald Trump to impose a 50% tariff on Brazil?
Right. Remember, he's really been riled up by the Brazilian President Lula da Silva, and we all know that this is also being used now as a pressure tactic by the US President, who
At least 9 gunshots fired at Kapil Sharma's Caps Cafe in Surrey. Luddy gang linked to Babbar Khalsa International claim responsibility. UP conversion racket gets bigger. Top cops make sensational claims, say conspiracy to alter demographics through religious conversion. As Karnataka power tussle escalates, High Command's message to Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar say maintain status quo till Bihar elections. Trinamool Congress leader Razak Khan brutally shot and hacked to death in Bhangar, South 24 Parganas. 25-year-old tennis player Radhika Yadav shot dead by her father. Father confesses to crime, cites anger over her tennis academy and public remarks. Astronauts Subhangshu Shukla and Axiom 4 crew will return to Earth on July 14th after completing over 60 experiments on 230 Earth orbits aboard the ISS. Trump imposes 35% tariff on Canadian imports to US effective August 1st. Welcome and thank you so much for staying with CNN News 18. I'm Griha Atul. Let's begin with our top focus story. This has been a shocking incident from Surrey that we are learning of, and this concerns comedian Kapil Sharma. As you know, in Canada, Kapil Sharma owns a newly opened cafe. It's called the Caps Cafe. And there were shots that were fired at the cafe several times. These are visuals that we are putting across for our viewers. This is a targeted attack by the Khalistani gang, we are told. Khalistani terrorist Harjeet Singh Laddi, who is wanted in India's National Investigation Agency, has put out, in fact, a notice saying that he is a wanted criminal and has been linked to the banned group Babbar Khalsa International, has claimed responsibility for this attack as well. According to intelligence sources, Laddi allegedly cited a past statement that was made by Kapil Sharma as the reason for the attack. This incident is currently under investigation. And we are now getting some more updates. Following this attack on Kapil Sharma's Caps Cafe, the management has issued this statement. Caps Cafe has stated that they are processing the shock of the incident but will continue to stand firm against violence. My colleague Anshul Singh is with us on the broadcast. Anshul, this was one incident that was dominating headlines ever since it had happened, and Laddi had taken responsibility for this attack. What is that statement that Kapil Sharma has made that he's citing to, in fact, fire shots at his restaurant in Canada?
If you see how the Babbar Khalsa and other Khalistani groups actually operate in Canada, they actually try to build pressure on each and every Indian who reaches there, especially people from Punjab. They try to create some sort of a pressure so that these people actually go ahead and support their movement and actually support the creation of a Khalistan. And this is another pressure tactic that has been utilized at this point in time, is what we have been told. And recently, Kapil Sharma has absolutely been against this, and he has always spoken for the country, and never has he uttered a word regarding the creation of a Khalistan. And this is something that has infuriated these extremists, and that is the reason why we are seeing that such an incident has happened. But remember, this is not the first time that something like this has happened in Canada, specifically to Indians. We had recently seen as well that popular pop star AP Dhillon, his house was also attacked, shots were fired at his residence as well. And now this very recently new cafe of Kapil Sharma, popular comedian, as soon as his cafe was opened within a time period of just a few days, such a massive incident has happened. Now at this point in time, the Canada police has not been able to arrest anyone in this entire matter, but Kapil Sharma, through his production house, has in fact gone ahead and thanked the Surrey police and the Delta PD police department of the local district for actually making sure that people are safe over there and no one is hurt in this entire incident. It remains to be seen, once the arrest of these accused happens, what is the exact reason due to which this entire incident has happened, and what were the comments that might have infuriated these people. But in general, this is a pressure building tactic that is utilized by Babbar Khalsa International, so that people who belong to the state of Punjab and who reside in Canada, they could get influence and then eventually join in the demanding a free Khalistan.
Anshul, how does one read this statement that has now come out by Caps Cafe management? They are saying that they are not going to be, they are standing firm against any kind of violence, and they are not going to be cowing down. But that's a very generic statement that they have made. So far, they don't seem to have deliberated upon the exact reason for the attack. They're choosing to stay out of it. How does one read it?
Well, definitely, yet again, since Kapil Sharma is a big celebrity and hence he does not want to create any controversy out of it, and hence this very safe statement has been made by Kapil Sharma, in which he has very clearly stated, in fact, clearly stated that the focus is to actually make sure that people are safe, and this is what this is how the police has helped them locally.
Okay.
And neither Kapil Sharma or his production team has made any comments regarding Babbar Khalsa or the accused who might have fired at their residence or the cafe. Once the Surrey police actually comes out with a detailed report as to what is the exact reason, then we could actually expect something to be said from the production house and Kapil Sharma as well.
For a background for our viewers, if you could recount exactly what had happened, when did this incident come to light, when was this video released by the Babbar Khalsa group, particularly by Luddy, claiming responsibility for this firing of gunshots at the restaurant? How did it all transpire?
Well, this happened early morning yesterday, Canadian time, when the cafe was actually closed. And at approximately 4 to 5 a.m. in the morning is what we are being told that this entire incident of firing that was reported. And just minutes after the incident had happened and the accused fled from the spot, minutes after that, this entire video was released and was sent. Was not only uploaded on social media, but was also sent to several journalists as well, so that this entire message could be propagated. And once this video went viral, then this entire statement came in from Babbar Khalsa, which actually claimed the responsibility of this entire attack. And since then, the Surrey Police and the Delta District Police Department are looking about the whereabouts of the said accused. However, there is no lead that has been gathered by them at this point in time. Surrey Police says that they are trying to find the exact accused and to ascertain the exact reason, because the Surrey Police also has not given credit of this entire incident to Babbar Khalsa International, because this is their modus operandi. Organizations like Babbar Khalsa International actually carry out these crimes and try to take responsibility publicly, so that a clearer message is given out. In many cases previously, we have seen that even such groups actually try to claim responsibility of things that they have not done, just to instill fear amongst the people. So this is being investigated at this point in time. If at all Babbar Khalsa is actually involved, and this needs to be substantiated with facts. And that is something that the Surrey Police will try to do over the next few days.
Right. Anshul, we do know how Kapil Sharma is not very regular on his X account, so he has not really posted anything specifically which is to do with this incident. He's chosen to stay out of it. Anything on his Instagram for that matter? Any response, any sort of a statement that he himself is making personally?
So absolutely no, there is no statement that has come in from Kapil Sharma. It is the Instagram account of Caps Cafe, that is the cafe that is owned by Kapil Sharma, and it is just this statement, this two stories that have been posted by them on their social media account on Instagram, which clearly says that we stand firm against violence and ensure Caps Cafe remains a place of warmth for the community. So at this point in time, even after such a massive incident has happened, there is no extreme statement that has either been made by the cafe or by Kapil Sharma as well. For that matter, Kapil Sharma has not made any statement in this entire issue till now, and it is unlikely that Kapil Sharma would be making any statement very soon. Once the case is clear, once the arrest happens, then we can expect that Kapil Sharma might come out with a reaction on this entire incident.
Right, Ashul, thank you so much for all of that information. We'll keep an eye on this story. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in this firing incident that was reported outside Caps Cafe in Canada. And Babbar Khalsa International Group has taken responsibility for the attack, particularly Luddy. We are now getting some breaking news. We're shifting our focus now. We're learning that the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh Chief Mohan Bhagwat has made a remark, and that in fact underlines that he is now thinking of stepping aside at the age of 35, and that now has prompted opposition and the politicians there to question the implications of such a decision. Speaking at a book release, this was an event that was dedicated to late RSS ideologue Moropant Pingle in Nagpur on Wednesday. Bhagwat said, and I'm quoting, "When you turn 75, it means you should stop now and make way for the others." Listen in.
75 वर्ष की साल जब उड़ी जाती है तो उसका अर्थ ये होता है कि अब आपकी आयु हो गई, अब जरा बाजू हमको करने।
Certain crucial points highlighted in this report in Hassan.
Basically, because the issue regarding Hassan, which came out in the media, that there were sudden heart attacks taking place, large number of heart attacks were being reported. Many young people also are dying.
Let me take this across to my colleague Yesha Kotak, who's now with us on the broadcast. Yesha, Explain to us the implications of this very statement and what is it that the opposition is saying now, particularly after what Mohan Bhagwat has in fact suggested, I beg your pardon, that at 75, it is the time to gracefully step down. What does it mean for RSS? What does it mean for the leadership of the BJP ideologue as well?
So when we speak of this very statement that comes in from Mohan Bhagwat, clearly he was speaking about this as he said that, Mohan Bhagwat will also be turning 75 very soon, which meant that it was time for him to step down. But here, in the larger context, in the larger message that we've seen, it also hints at Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be turning 75 this year. In fact, when we speak of the stance that comes in, over the last couple of years, there has been a constant discussion and debate about the fact that RSS and BJP clearly believe that when a person turns 75, it is time to make way for the next generation, for the fresh leadership to take over. Wherein the fact that now Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also turning 75, it is also a message or a kind of a statement giving suggestion to Prime Minister Narendra Modi that while Mohan Bhagwat steps down, will be a similar instance that should be followed. Direct indirect message that's being put forth by Mohan Bhagwat.
Right. Yesha, thank you so much for joining us and offering that perspective. We're also putting out this reaction of Sanjay Raut of the Uddhav faction. Let's listen into what he had to say about this decision, at least the suggestion that has been made by RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat.
ये इशारा जो है वो डायरेक्टली हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की तरफ जो नियम बना है वो नियम सबके लिए समान है, चाहे अडवाणी जी हो, चाहे मुरली मनोहर जोशी जी हो, चाहे और कोई हो, चाहे अमित शाह जी हो या चाहे मिस्टर हमारे मोदी जी हो। मोदी ने सब कुछ भोग लिया ना, अब राष्ट्रहित के लिए उनको निवृत्ति रिटायरमेंट लेनी चाहिए।
Let's now shift our focus. In a shocking incident, 25-year-old state-level tennis player Radhika Yadav was allegedly shot dead by her father at their house in Gurugram in Sector 57. This shocking incident is reported of yesterday. According to the police, Radhika's father fired 5 bullets at her in quick succession, of which 3 struck her. She was rushed to the private hospital in critical condition but succumbed to her injuries. Gurugram police also revealed that Radhika was allegedly shot dead by her father after an argument over her decision to run a tennis academy. He told the police that he had advised Radhika several times to shut down the academy, but she refused. Deepak claimed that he was being taunted by people who said he was living off of his daughter's earnings. Deepak is the father of Radhika Yadav, and this is what enraged him, and he was in fact very frustrated, and in that fit of rage is when he took that fatal decision. The father has now been arrested and has confessed to his crime. The licensed revolver used for the murder has also been seized from the house. My colleague Anshul is now with us again on more perspective on this story as well. Anshul, very, very unfortunate incident. But what is it when it is about the sentencing that Deepak now is looking at, considering he acted in a fit of rage? What happens next now that he has been nabbed by the police after that medical examination? Is when the final sentencing happens? What happens next?
The first procedure in this entire case is going to be the medical examination of the accused. That will be done, and once that is done, in the next few hours, he will be produced in front of the Gurugram District Court, where the Gurugram police will ask for an extended custody. Remember, this is just a confession that has been made in front of the police at this point in time, and it does not hold any value in front of the courts.
Yes.
So once the statement is made in front of the magistrate, then the Gurugram police will have to substantiate this entire claim that has been made from the side of the accused with evidences. And once those evidences are collected, then eventually in a time period of 60 to 90 days, we can expect that a charge sheet would be filed in this entire case. But yes, the manner in which the accused has accepted to the fact has definitely helped the Gurugram police, but it is still going to be a very, very tough task for them to actually substantiate this entire claim that the accused father was being taunted by people for his daughter earning money and he surviving, and he survive on money that is being earned by her daughter. So this is something that the Gurugram police will have to prove in front of the courts. But for now, the first focus of the Gurugram police is to make sure that the accused is brought under their custody, and in the next few hours he'll be produced in front of the courts, where the Gurugram police is likely to ask for an extended custody
Very
so that
shocking.
further interrogation could happen.
Absolutely shocking story that we are reporting out of Gurugram. Who else is there in the family, Anshul?
The uncle of the victim, that is the brother of the accused, and the brother of the girl, who were also present in the house, is what we are being told. And in fact, they were the people who initially took her to the hospital and then eventually informed the police regarding the entire incident as well. Now, what police sources are telling us that just minutes before this entire incident had happened, there was a massive altercation that had broken out between Radhika and her father, and it is at that point, in a fit of rage, that his father pulled out a licensed revolver and fired 5 out of 6 bullets that were in the revolver, and then out of these 5 bullets, 3 struck her. Two of these bullets struck on her waist, and she collapsed on the ground suddenly. And then eventually, the uncle of the girl and the brother of the girl tried to take her to the hospital, where she was eventually declared broad dead. And then the police was informed regarding the entire incident. Once the police was informed, the accused father was taken into custody. And during the initial interrogation and questioning that happened, he said that he was very angry with his daughter, that she was not agreeing to actually go ahead and shut down this tennis academy that she was trying to operate, and hence this was something that had infuriated him previously as well. And over the last few months, since the time the victim had started this tennis academy, there was this constant altercation that was going on between both of them, and that eventually culminated in killing of this 25-year-old girl, Radhika Yadav, who was in fact a very, very promising tennis player as well. She had represented her state at many levels as well. So definitely a big loss for the tennis fraternity as well. And what is even more shocking is incidences like these, where for issues probably for honor of the father, that he was not able to digest the fact that his daughter is earning more than him and his daughter is actually surviving on her own. He decided to go ahead and kill her. This is absolutely shocking. Something like this happening in the 21st century is definitely very, very shocking and appalling.
Absolutely, a shocking piece of news like Anshul is reporting. And this is a father, remember, shooting his own daughter, later coming to the police, confessing to that crime. But the damage has already been done. The daughter is now gone, a very, very promising tennis player of the country, all for her decision of setting up her own tennis academy. That is how bizarre this entire thing is. We'll leave it at that. We are now getting some more breaking news. This is coming in from Karnataka. This is to do with the power tussle in Karnataka. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has met with the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, we are told, at his residence in Delhi. Sources are revealing that the High Command has conveyed to him that it is a status quo as far as Karnataka is concerned till Bihar elections are over. Only then will there be a decision on who calls the shots in Karnataka. My colleague Harish is with us for more details on this. Harish, we've had an exclusive conversation with Siddaramaiah. Our colleague Pallavi did that interview with Siddaramaiah, where he was rather brazen in claiming that 5 years he remains in office. When asked on the DK Shivakumar question, he not just skirted the question, he also equated DK Shivakumar with any other leader who is in fact running after power. So how does one see